Guys, remember what we have been going through so far? Guys, okay, we started already. Guys, remember the different things we have seen so far?
Yeah.
So we got what? Creation, whole creation. We got the Adam and Eve part, the sin part, the Bible part, how God is a Trinity. So far, any questions you guys might have?
What are we going to talk about?
Today we're going to talk about what happens after sin. How God responds to sin. But
The consequences.
not the consequences, but, just God's reaction towards. But so far, what we have seen so far, you guys have any question you want me to address before we start? No. All right. I know questions are going to come up during the process, so don't worry. All right. Have you ever heard the word covenant?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
All right. Any ideas what a covenant?
No.
It's like having
Group.
No. Come on. All right. Go ahead. Covenant.
Group. Something like that.
So what?
Group.
Satanic people.
A group.
Isn't that
No. Not a group. Any more ideas? A
What's
group?
the word?
Covenant.
What is it?
Promise.
Hold up. She doesn't go.
Promise. You know. Come on. Say it. Yeah, you know. I know you got the answer. You're super smart. Tell these fools what a covenant is.
Hey.
The other one, the one behind you.
A promise?
Daniel?
And me, what about me? All right, covenant.
I'm not going to say what it means.
All right.
You tell us.
So, Gil, you said a promise, right?
Yeah, that was my guess.
That was your guess. All right. All right, I'm going to read you. Leviticus 26:11 says this. I will live among you. This is God speaking. And I will not despise you. In another translation, it says, I will walk among you, verse 12. I will be your God, and you will be my people. Covenant is a relationship between two parts. Alright? That's what a covenant is. It's like, there's another word for it. Sounds weird. It's a pact. A pact between you and someone. Now, there is a difference between a contract and a covenant. There's differences. Very big differences. So, covenant is not a contract. It's a pact between two parts. A contract is based upon country of trust.
It's like when you sign.
Like, trust, the opposite of trust is? Distrust. That was an easy one, come on. Alright, so contract is based upon distrust. Like, you know that one's it's not gonna come through, so you have some, things like, in case you don't come through, well, they will protect me. Covenant is based upon trust. So it's opposite of. Alright? Now, in this terms, covenant is a relationship between us and God with God's terms. Like, He's the boss. Alright? Like, He's the one filling the blanks, or saying what we're supposed to do. Now, in a covenant, God shows grace. Like we have sinned so far, Adam and Eve sinned. So we're going to see that first covenant and how God gives us grace and allows us to live, basically. Now, God is God. God is sovereign. We are under Him, not above Him. He is the Lord, not us. So He calls the shots. Right? Now, God is holy. God is love, and He blesses us. It's like this covenant is for our gain. God is just. And God is, and this is a Hebrew word, hesed. Right? This word, hesed, means a few things. Love, grace, mercy, patience, goodness, affection, devotion, intimacy. this word, this concept, involves all of these principles. Now, Jeremiah 32:38 says the same thing again. You will be my people. I will be your God. Now remember, after we were watching the movie, we were talking about identity. Being God's people means something. It's like, and I'm going to use that example again, when you are part of a gang, it means something. You're like, if you are from this gang, you dress a certain way, you talk a certain way, you greet each other a certain way, you roll in a certain place, you don't go to this other part because that's not your territory, right? So it gives you identity. A lot of people go to gangs because they need identity. They don't know who they are, so they go to gangs to get identity. We don't need to do that. We already have an identity. We are God's people. And being God's people means something. And we're going to talk about that. Now, there are 6 points in a covenant that are essential. And we're going to see this in the Bible. In a covenant, you will always have the head. Like, okay, who's the main guy here? Like, there's a pact between one another, and usually someone gets some benefits. And someone sets the rules. In this case, we're going to see, okay, so who's the head? Now, there are blessings in a covenant. There are conditions to those blessings. It's like when your mom or dad tell you, okay, go, pick up your room, and if you do, you will be able to go out. If not, you're not. So there are blessings, but there are conditions to those blessings. Now, there is a sign that seals the covenant. Back in those days, they used to, for example, kill an animal to see that. Or they will build like a sculpture, an altar, something that will show, okay, there is a pact here. Or they will dress a certain way, or they will have a mark on their bodies. Then you have the outcome of the covenant. And there's always a promise. Alright? Now, Adam and Eve. They were bad. They sinned. And what happened? They were kicked out of Eden, right? All remember that? Alright. Now, we can read through this covenant between Genesis 1:26 and Genesis 2:3. In this part of the Bible, God gives them a blessing. God shows them what that covenant is. I'm going to read a little bit to you guys. I'm going to go to, once again, 26. You can read this at home in more detail, but it goes something like this. Then God said, let us make human beings in our image to be like us. Here it is. They will reign over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, the livestock, all the wild animals on the earth, and the small animals that scurry along the ground. So those were benefits. You agree? Like God is giving something, some benefits. All of these. So He created human beings in His own image, and the image of God He created them. Male and female He created them. Then God blessed them and said, be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and govern it. Reign over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, and all the animals that scurry along the ground. Then God said, look, I have given you every seed-bearing plant throughout the earth, and all the fruit trees for your food. And I have given every green plant as food for all the wild animals, the birds in the sky, and the small animals that scurry along the ground. Then God looked over all He had made, and He saw that it was very good. Genesis 2, once again, tells about everything that He did and how God blessed us. So, this is what is called the Adamic covenant. This is the pact or the covenant God made with Adam and Eve. Now, in that, the pact was between God and Adam as the head of humankind. Now, He gave us life and He gave us blessings. He gave us the garden. He gave Adam a wife, which was awesome. He gave him marriage. And he gave him dominion over everything. Now, there was a condition. I don't know if you all remember which condition it was. You shall not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That was the only condition. It was a very, very simple covenant. You have all of this. Just don't do this one thing. Now, there was a sign. The sign was Sabbath. Remember, God created the world in 6 days, and then He rested one day, right? The same way. Adam was meant to model that same routine. Work for 6 days, rest one day. That was a sign like this. You are in the pack as long as you keep this. Now, for Adam, one of the many benefits, or the final outcome, was marriage. He got to enjoy a wife. And finally, there was a promise. Adam and Eve sinned. They were kicked out of Eden. But at the end, there was one last promise from God. And it was that despite sin, one day a Savior will come through the lineage of Adam and Eve. That was going to be Jesus. And that would restore everything back again. So that was a pact. And there are a lot of pacts, a lot of covenants in the Bible. Now you will see the same thing over and over. God gives promises to someone. People will benefit from those. You will benefit from that covenant, but it will always have some condition to it. Unfortunately, over and over, we keep breaking our covenant. Now, for example, there's enough. Do you remember who's Noah? Who's Noah? He made the ark, right? He made the big boat in the desert. There was a pact with him. Now, do you remember? This is going to probably, you might know this one. What was the sign of that covenant?
The rainbow.
The rainbow. And we still see that now in our days. Now, on that covenant, what was the promise? That God will never send a flood like that again. A worldwide flood. He will never do that again. What was the benefits? Like, He will keep them alive. He will keep us alive. He will preserve the life of human race. And there's a third pact that we can see in the Bible. That is the pact God made between Him and Abraham. We know Abraham as the father of faith. And once again, what was the promise to him directly? That he will have family that will fill the earth. He will be father of many nations. Now, there was a pact. There was a sign, a physical sign of that pact. Any of you know what was that sign? It's kind of a gross sign, but Gil knows what we're talking about, all right? All right.
Wait, the sign of what?
Between God and Abraham.
Provision.
Yes. I mean, more than nasty was painful. But that was a sign. That would be a sign. Like, back in the day, like, if you have questions, are you really a Hebrew or not? All right, pull down your pants. Let me see.
There's little kids here, man.
Hey! It's the Bible. I'm sorry.
What is it?
That's what it was. That was a physical sign. But there was a promise to that. That will make you part of God's people. And they were privileged by being God's people. One of them, God said that I will take care of your enemies. You don't have to worry about them. If someone wants to come against you, I'll handle them. But you have to keep your part of the deal. What was that part of the deal? Anyone knows? What was the condition to it? No, that was Adam and Eve.
What are we doing now?
Abraham.
Oh, we're still in Abraham.
Yeah, we're
Nah,
still here.
it's-
Now, we know the sign, circumcision. But what was the condition for God to keep his part of the deal? Like, for him, like, okay, God was telling Abraham, I will give you protection. No one will touch you. Your enemies will be my enemies. Abraham had to do one thing, though.
Kill his son.
Sacrifice.
Was that?
Sacrifice, yeah.
Well, that was not the condition. That was a sign. That was a spiritual sign of obedience. But that was the faith part of it. Alright, this is it. The condition God gave Abraham was this. You cannot worship anyone but me. Like back in the day, there were many idols. People would worship everything. That move, okay, let's worship that thing that moved. You know, like the Aztecs, like the Mayas, like I told you before, like the Greeks, they had many gods for every single thing. Abraham came from a village, from a town that were idol worshippers. And God chose him among everyone else. God chose him. Not because he was good. Just God said, okay, there's no one good in this earth. No one. I'm picking you. He could have picked whoever. It would make no difference. Everyone was the same. The difference was not the people. The difference was not Abraham. The difference is God. He is good. He's that good that he said, all right, I'm picking you. And from you, I'm going to make a covenant. And you're going to be different because I choose you to be different. So that was the thing. Is like, you are not to worship anyone but me. I am the true God. God revealed himself to Abraham. Like, you all, basically he told him, you people, you have it all wrong. You have no idea what you're doing. I am God. I'm revealing myself to you. And I'm going to do this for you. All you need to do is be faithful to me. I'm letting you know I'm the true God. Just worship me alone. So that was the deal. And through Abraham, all nations were going to be blessed if he kept his part of the sign. Now, Moses. You guys remember Moses, right? There was a different pact between God and Moses. No.
They all came from there.
Yeah, Moses. How many of you remember the cartoon, The Prince of Egypt?
Yeah.
All right, that's Moses.
That's a movie.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a cartoon. Pretty cool.
Animated.
Now, so once again, there's a pact between God and Moses in this case. Okay, we're going to talk about Moses real quick. Now, one of the biggest benefits was going to be for the people. Those people were what to Egypt? Slaves.
Jews.
So the benefit was they will no longer be slaves. He was offering them freedom. The so long freedom. They have been slaves for 400 years. Can you imagine that? 400 years. Slaves. Working. Now, there was as well two signs. Physical sign and spiritual sign. The physical sign was the law. How many of you know that there's the 10 Commandments? Right? That was a very physical sign. Okay, there is this set of rules. Go by them. This is a sign that I'm giving you. There is a law. There was a second sign that involved faith. How many of you remember the last plague?
It was the death of the last son.
Yes, exactly. An angel was going to come to the land of Egypt and kill every firstborn in the land.
Unless you put blood on your door.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I saw the cartoon.
Exactly. So there was blood, right? And they were going to paint the door,
Yes.
the door frame. All right. That is called, well, that's where the whole Easter thing comes. There is in Hebrew, the name is Yom Kippur, which in English is the Passover. Anyone know what Passover means?
When you pass over, like you're speeding it.
Exactly. Actually, that is correct. That you pass over, right? What it meant was the angel was going to kill all the firstborns. All of them. Unless you do that door thing, which I'm going to tell you what it was. And, alright, this was the deal. They would get a lamb. And it was very specific how the lamb could be. Like, you couldn't use just any lamb. It had to be a perfect lamb. And there were rules for that specific lamb. So you will kill the lamb. Alright? And with that blood, you will paint the door. When the angel came and saw the blood, he would pass over it. And he wouldn't touch that house. And so on until there was no blood. Now, everything in the Bible is an image for something. It has a meaning to something else. In this case, you had a little lamb, an innocent little lamb. Like, the lambs are the weakest animals ever. Like, they cannot even defend. They don't have claws, or they don't have,
They're pretty strong though.
It's just a lamb. Like, who has ever been afraid of a lamb? A lamb! Ah! Like, no, they're not the horny guys. Just a lamb. Those are the ones that you, oh, a lamb, and you hug him. Like, when you cannot sleep, count lambs. Why? Because lambs are lame. Like, it's boring. This is lambs.
Not when they're mad. No, when they're mad, they will run you. Yes.
Yeah, you're confusing with something else.
No, we're not.
You're talking about cabras.
No, we're talking about the big white fluffy thing.
They're mean.
Oh, and they will go to, and they will freak you out. They're just lambs. You can
See,
shut up.
like if you threw a rock at them, they will come after you, and they won't stop until you're on the floor.
It ain't gonna hurt you though, they're fluffy.
Alright.
And push you.
Alright, let's go back. Guys, let's go back. So we have a lamb, and he had to kill one again. It's an innocent lamb. Defenseless lamb. They will kill him. They will shed its blood. And the thing is not the lamb. The thing is the blood of the lamb. That counts. Like,
They kept the meat.
now, Jesus came to fulfill that. That was just an example for something else that was going to come. Jesus, as well, innocent, was sacrificed. And his blood delivered us from death. Alright? So, that's why we celebrate the Passover this Easter.
That's why.
Yeah.
But that is because of God.
Yeah, God. Jesus was the sacrifice. Alright? Jesus was the sacrifice. And it's his blood that cleans us. And we are free from death because of that. Now, we're going to have to go down. But, yeah, it's already. They're finishing. They went fast. Yeah, I know. But we haven't finished. We're going to keep talking next week about covenant. And what is the covenant God has now, today, with us? What are the benefits of that covenant? What is the sign? What God's expecting from us? Okay? So keep all those questions for next week. And we'll go back there. Okay? Alright guys, let's go down there.